Rockstar's plan is now to continually update the game over time, adding new missions and cities on a regular basis, which leadership hopes will lead to less crunch during the game's final months. Still, the game's world remains large, with more interior locations than previous Grand Theft Auto games. We're going to be talking about those interior locations in today's video. So what's up everyone, welcome back to another GTA 6 video, and yeah, look, we're talking about the interiors because there was some interesting stuff that some people found regarding patents and AI. So this is one of the patents that Take-Two patented, a system and method for game object and environment generation, and that's the main one we're going to be taking a look at. But there's also a couple of other ones that they have, and maybe one of these days we'll talk more about some of these. But a system and method for session management in a multiplayer network gaming environment, a system and method for virtual navigation in a gaming environment, a system and method for virtual character locomotion, a method and apparatus for enhanced graphics rendering, and then a method and apparatus for preventing cheating in a video game environment by providing obfuscated game variables. That one hopefully comes to fruition, because we all know, at least on PC, GTA Online is just a mess with cheating. But those are some of the other patents. Now, I will just point out, these are Take-Two patents. Like, yeah, Take-Two owns other things other than GTA 6. But when we do read through the one, the system for the game object and environment generation, a lot of this stuff more than likely has to do with GTA 6. But I actually want to go back to what I read at the beginning. So this is actually from an article that Jason Schreier put out back in 2022, before the game was announced, before the leaks even happened. And this part was, I'm assuming, after he talked to a couple of Rockstar developers. They gave him a tidbit of information on the game. I think this was actually the first time it came out. And they said there's going to be a female protagonist. But of course, the part we're going to be looking at today is with more interior locations than previous GTA games. I mean, look, that should be expected because, of course, this is much newer. I mean, GTA 5 had almost like no interior locations, it seemed like. Now, this is a very long patent. All of these patents usually are. I'm not going to bore you with reading some of the descriptions of it. What we're actually going to do instead is just take a look at some of the examples the patent actually gives, because I think that'll give you a better idea of what this means. And one of the examples that this patent actually gave was about interior locations. In this paragraph highlighted, in another advantageous embodiment, the disclosed systems are used to procedurally generate building interiors, which allows the generation of a large number of different interiors from a relatively small set of interchangeable part objects. These parts would include things such as floor assets, ceiling assets, wall pieces, and numerous interior items for placement within the room. Variants of these items can be made available in several color palettes, which can be applied across the parts in a variety of ways. So there's been a rumor, and I don't know how true it is, but we're just going to roll with it. The rumor is that 70% of the interiors in GTA 6 will be enterable. And if that's the case, then what they're describing here might be how the interiors work. We all know, and we've all seen the map, GTA 6's map is going to be massive. If they were to individually create rooms and interiors in all of these different locations, that would take forever. The game wouldn't come out for another 10 years. But by procedurally generating the interiors using different assets, like they mentioned here in this paragraph, that makes game development a lot easier and a lot faster. And here's actually a picture that someone threw together. This is from Reddit user Mike Lug, I think. So he threw out these pictures together. This is, of course, from the GTA 6 trailer. These are some of the buildings that you can kind of see an interior. Exhibit D, the one in the middle, I think is the best one because you can see the TV glowing. A lot of the other pictures are just apartment buildings with, lights on, or the one on the bottom you can kind of see has a 3D effect. It looks enterable, like it looks like an actual interior. It's not just a 2D picture that we've seen in GTA 5. So there are some examples here that indicate maybe there'll be a decent amount of interiors. Now, of course, these are major buildings. Some of these are major giant apartment buildings. You're not going to be able to go into every single apartment. That's just unrealistic, even with procedural generation. Look, I would love to be proved wrong, but I just don't think that's going to happen. More than likely, what a lot of this stuff we're seeing in this picture is something similar that Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man game, actually did. This is a picture from, I believe, Spider-Man 2, where when you're roaming around New York City as Spider-Man, you can see inside the buildings. And right, this picture, it looks like those buildings, those apartments are enterable. They're 3D. They look realistic. But that's actually just a fancy way of rendering this. I believe it's called parallax mapping. It's something to do with the way the game is rendering the interiors. Like apparently that's actually a 2D image rendered in a 3D way. So it looks a lot more realistic. Like it looks enterable, but it's really not enterable. And going back to the GTA 6 pictures, I think that's what a lot of these locations, a lot of these places, especially on the big apartment buildings or condo buildings, are gonna be, that they're just 3D rendered. It's just parallax mapping. Like, yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of interior locations in GTA 6, but I don't think these giant condos are gonna be the locations we can enter. Mainly because it's like, why? Like, do we really need to go inside of apartment number 736 on floor 10 or whatever? Like, we don't really need to do that. But as far as the patent, this comment from Candid Guidance here sums it up pretty simply. How it would work in actual gameplay: you would walk into a new interior. The game would generate a unique seed with different parameters for the floor size, the ceiling, all the things it mentioned in the patent. Then of course the game would generate based off of that seed, and boom, you have your interior. And ideally, you know, that stays the same throughout your whole playthrough. Whenever you go back, it's the same interior, but that's what it would do for every different interior they use this, you know, patent on. And again, the real benefit of this is that it saves the developers time. The developers don't have to painstakingly go room by room and put all this stuff together. They just let the procedural generation do it for them. And it even mentions apartment buildings here. And look, I'll leave a link to this patent in the description if you want to read through it. Like, there's so much. I mean, we're not reading through all of it. It would take way too long. But this one actually mentions apartment buildings right here. So, however, in some advantageous embodiments, the system is applied to rooms of similar shape and size, such as apartment buildings, where many of the rooms throughout the building have the same floor plan. Thus, the ceiling, wall, and floor details can all be mapped to the particular dimensions of those rooms, and general placement of the furniture and stuff would be similar. And it does maybe hint at entire apartment buildings or condo buildings, you know, being made. Multiple apartment interiors can easily be created based on the same interior plan, but with different combinations of parts. So I don't know, maybe that does mean all those apartment buildings we saw in the GTA 6 trailer, they'll have interiors. I still think that it's a bit crazy, but maybe they will. Who knows? Now, going back to the trailer, we actually have this scene from the little like car meet or whatever at night. This goes against all of the interior discussion we're talking about, because obviously the picture, this green building, those are all 2D images on the windows, right? That's not parallaxed mapping. That's not an actual interior you can go into. So I wanted to mention this because obviously there's a lot of hype behind GTA 6. People want it to be the best game of all time, but there is a real possibility that, you know, not every building is going to be enterable. Like this game, that would just be a little ridiculous, I think. So I wouldn't be expecting that. Now, maybe this is just because it's early in development. They haven't done that particular interior yet. That could be the case. I mean, it looks to be like a little food shop. Usually that sort of stuff has 3D textures that you can see into it. So again, maybe down the line, they'll add that to this little building, but also there could just be a real possibility not every building is enterable. Even with procedural generation, it would probably just be too big of an undertaking to make every building enterable, mainly because you would have to have so many different assets for the procedural generation to use. Otherwise, every single interior would look very, very similar. And again, going back to the patent, there's so many more little details and little examples about interiors. I'm not going to go through all of them, but like one here, they talk about a high-end apartment and things that would be procedurally generated, you know, stuff in the kitchen, all these different little things, stuff in a little lounge, all of those different things. You have things in the bedroom, a high-end bed with some tables next to it, also a high-end mirror. Again, if you want to go through and read this stuff, just go to this, hit Control F and type in interior, and all these little different things will pop up and you can scroll down and, you know, read through it yourself if you're really interested. The big point though was definitely what we talked about earlier in regards to how things will just be procedurally generated using the different assets. One of the other interesting things I just wanted to point out, and this isn't really interior related, but apparently this patent also could apply to different NPCs. They mention in this paragraph here, the developers, I guess, could tag different NPCs and different things that NPCs would use, as skinny, chubby, average, attractive, ugly, young, old, all this sort of stuff. They could also tag, casual, business, formal. And the example they gave, if game designers wanted to create a scene located in a fast food restaurant, the designers may create a virtual people using a higher proportion of body parts object tagged as chubby and clothing textures and stuff tagged as casual. So the reason I just wanted to point this out is because it seems like maybe NPCs in GTA 6 will be a lot more varied, and it might make a lot more sense because in the city you'll see a lot more business people, where in the poor neighborhoods you might see a lot more poor looking people. And again, they mentioned the fast food locations have a lot more chubby people, and there's even more examples: sporty, hipster, emo, preppy, nerdy, all these things. So yeah, the NPCs, it seems like there's going to be a lot of variety, which is cool to see. And we already, of course, saw that in the trailer on the beach scene. And then this last paragraph we're going to take a look at is actually something I hope means there's going to be some sort of like gang system back from San Andreas. So one of the examples they gave was a neighborhood could be populated with a higher proportion of assets tagged old, worn down, rusty, cheap. But if you're trying to improve this, like there's a gameplay mechanic where you can improve that part of town, then the game engine, it says, can slowly replace the objects tagged above with new objects tagged new, high-end, hipster, renovated, etc. to indicate the neighborhood is improving. And I don't think that sort of example is going to be in a GTA game, but imagine a gang system where one of the gangs owns a portion of the city. Well, the other gang comes in and takes over, and a lot of the old gang's assets get replaced by the new gang's assets. So I sort of hope that's what this paragraph, this sort of description, this example could lead to. But that's where we're going to end the video. What do you guys think about this interior stuff? Number one, does it even matter if every single building is enterable? Like, I don't think many people are going to not buy the game if that's not the case. Like, if you can't enter any of the condo buildings, people are not going to be like, oh, that's it, GTA 6 is done, I ain't buying it. As mentioned in the Jason Schur thing, there's going to be more interior locations than previous games. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot. And I don't know if that 70% rumor is in fact true, but even if just the quote unquote important buildings are enterable, gas stations, markets, banks, I don't know, stuff like that, hotels, I guess, fast food places like they mentioned, even if just that sort of stuff is enterable, I think the game will be more than fine. But who knows, with the procedural generation stuff that was mentioned in the patent, maybe we will get everything enterable. But again, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below on interiors in GTA 6. Thank you guys for watching. That's going to do it for today's GTA 6 video. Please drop the video a like if you did enjoy, subscribe for more GTA 6 content, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.